Have you ever caught yourself thinking the following? I'm not reading enough. I'm not disciplined enough in my writing routine. Maybe I'm just not cut out for this. Have you fallen victim to the TikTokification of reading? If so, then this video is for you. Hello, my name is Lissa and you're watching Lissa's Here, the channel where I post whatever the hell I feel like it, and most of the time it relates to books. Which brings me to today's topic of choice. Do we think that reading and therefore writing as an extension off of that has become, let's say, a trend? Short answer, yes. Long answer, it's complicated. Because in my eyes, writing and reading and writing, interchangeable, not always, but in this case I'm using it interchangeably as a both writer and a reader. I am going to be saying, I think that it has always been a trend, and in the day and age of society and social media as a part of that, has truly changed the way we consume our books and the way we write. Let me tell you a tale of fantasy and wonder, romance and triumph, enemies to lovers, and what's that? Smutty monster romance? Wait, what the fuck? Now, I just want to preface this video by saying that under no circumstances and no way, shape, or form am I saying anything against or holding anything against anyone who chooses to read stories that I myself do not prefer and that are popular on TikTok or anything. I've also read books that have blown up on TikTok and have found I like them, because regardless, at the end of the day, reading is still reading, and if you are reading, then you are feeding your brain, and that is good. So I don't care what you read, if it's fanfic, if it's, traditional literature, it doesn't matter, because your brain is a sponge that is absorbing. Reading is good for you. It is good for your comprehension. It is proven to help you live longer. And so at the end of the day, it does not matter what you are reading as long as it isn't benefiting a really toxic as hell writer, author, and the stuff in the book isn't really bad. You know what I mean? So now to get into the reason that we are all here, what is Booktok, and how the hell has it gotten to the point that we all know it to be? Well, to figure out the premortal hellscape that TikTok actually is, we must go back and examine the why. Why are Booktok books so popular? What makes a book a Booktok book, and what is in it that makes it blow up? Why do people buy these books and feed the algorithm and continue to post about it? What makes these books basically skyrocket to A-list celebrity level book in the Booktok community? I mean, debut authors, they will get their book picked up and launched into the Booktok sphere, and the next thing you know, their book is like a New York Times bestseller. And I think that is incredible for those debut authors, but I'm curious on why. What is it about these books that are so compelling to people? You know what I mean? Let me give you 3 examples of very well-known Booktok books for reference. Number 1, A Court of Thorns and Roses. Number 2, Fourth Wing. And number 3, Powerless. Now, can you tell me what these 3 books all have in common between the 3 of them? What is the common thread connecting them? There's probably multiple, but I have a main one that I consider at least to be a connecting thread between these 3 books for the overall outcome, or overall story plot being told. If you answer a romance, romantic fantasy, anything on the genre of romance meets fantasy, then you would be correct. The thing is about these 3 books that they have in common is that romance serves as a central point throughout the whole story arc and character development of all 3 of these different stories. The stories all are vastly different and have completely and utterly separate stories that they are trying to tell, but for the overall arching theme of all 3, romance serves as the main plot point, in my opinion at least. And now, don't get me wrong, a romance, when it is done well, is fantastic. But if you don't fully flesh out the characters and their arcs and the journey that they are going through, the hero's journey, the main character's journey, whatever you want to call it, then it falls flat. Now, I personally think that these books are good. They are not my cup of tea, But my problem with them is, and why they are TikTok books, they have blown up, reasonably so. Now, I do not like the way they are marketed. My problem with them is the marketing. Now, here's why. I feel that a lot of the books on Booktok that come across my feed are reminiscent of fanfic. And the fanfic culture that exists on AO3 and other platforms to find fanfic on. It's more like a nicer dressed up adult version of fanfic. And that is not necessarily bad. I'm not saying it's bad at all. I love fanfic. I read fanfic. I have an AO3 account. I am all for fanfic and people writing fics and being creative. I love that. My thing is, these books tend to be marketed as if they are the best of the best, when I just don't feel like that is the case. I feel like these books are good, but I don't think they were publishable ready. Or I don't think they were published ready, if that makes sense. I feel like they needed more work. I feel like they needed more time. It just didn't feel like the right... They just don't feel complete. They don't feel like the type of book that you are expecting to pick up and read from a traditional publishing house. Another example I would like to bring in today is the Cruel Prince trilogy by Holly Black. The first book of the Cruel Prince trilogy, just simply titled The Cruel Prince, was, in my opinion, crucified online by romance lovers alike, and I can see why. 100%. I understand why. The main plot line is not about romance. The relationship between the MMC, male main character, and the FMC, female main character, is not the overarching plot line of the book or the trilogy overall. The overarching plot line is more of the fantasy aspect and political fantasy, to be more specific. There's romance, but it is a B plot. It's not the A plot with a bit of fantasy and adventure serving as the B plot, like in A Court of Thorns and Roses. Don't get me wrong, the main character and her love interest, their relationship is important to the plot. It is very important to the overarching plot, but it is not the main plot line. It is not the main serving point of the story you are reading. The story itself is built off of a foundation separately. It is not built off of the foundation of their relationship. The main love interests spend most of the first book and second book, parts of the third book, despising each other. So it's not their romance that serves as the overarching plot line and plot device. It is... I would more or less say that the overarching driving force of the story is how far a person is willing to go to achieve what they want. I would say it follows more ambition and drive. The driving factor of this book is quite literally the main character's drive and what she will do to achieve what she wants in the end. Because of the romance not serving as an overarching plotline, we see more of the overall politics of the world and world building. We're forced to go outside of this little bubble of our main character and her love interest and the immediate main characters, and we, get to see a whole plethora of characters and stories in this wide overarching world. And it's a great, fantastic way to, after this trilogy, what Holly Black did was she continued this series through the next main character of her other series, and it served as a fantastic way for her to continue telling a story in this world because of the main factor not being the romance of the previous trilogy. She was able to jump back into this world, have readers be familiar with this world and the environment that they are in, and just tell a new story with a new overarching B plot line with romance. Now, I absolutely am a huge fan of this book series, and so I am probably a little biased, but I do believe that it is different from the other examples I mentioned earlier. And just to clarify, have I read all 3 of those previous examples that I gave? No, I did not. But I know the plots. I've read summaries. I've listened to videos talking about those books extensively. And I have read Fourth Wing. So I know the baseline of what I am speaking of. My thing is, there's nothing wrong with the first 3 books I mentioned, and there's nothing wrong with Holly Black's book. These are just me giving examples of what I feel is different. The Cruel Prince doesn't have romance as an overarching plot line, and the world feels more lively. Now, the other examples I gave have romance as an overarching plot line and narrative of the story that it is trying to tell, and that is not bad. There are plenty of traditionally published books with romance as the central plot that are fantastic. I might not like reading it personally, but that does not mean it isn't good. My problem is, I feel like a lot of the plot devices or tropes, that's what I'm thinking. I think there's a lot of romance tropes in, for example, A Court of Thorns and Roses that are traditionally seen in fanfic. And so it is, to me at least, as a fanfic reader and someone who has heard a lot about A Court of Thorns and Roses, it is not bad, but do we really think that that is traditional publishing worthy per se? Nothing bad with it. This is just me discussing. Do we think that this is a packaged series directed towards people who might actually really enjoy fanfic and just who never got into fanfic in middle school? And again, nothing wrong with that. My thing is, I think that a lot of the books, like A Court of Thorns and Roses, ACOTAR, and other ones very similar to it, I mean, not in like plot, but in like overarching romance as the main theme, I think a lot of these books take away from other writers and newer writers who are trying to get into the sphere of the publishing world and get their books debuted. And I worry that a lot of these books that might not be made for this type of publishing world have become so mainstream that it is making it impossible for people to get their books recognized in this world. And I worry what that does to our literature as a community and our reading comprehension, perhaps. And again, any reading is good reading. I'm not saying anything against these series. I'm just using these as examples, okay? Another thing, I have a reference here, Assistant to the Villain. Now, Assistant to the Villain, when it was first published, it became a fast-selling TikTok book. Now, I'm going to put it right there for a moment. Now, I fell victim to thinking it was bad because I had seen online and on social media people talking about how they didn't like it, how it was bad, it was poorly written, this and that, and it just wasn't what they wanted. And I didn't want to read it because of that. But my sister got it for me for Christmas and I read it. And guess what? I absolutely loved it. It was a fantastic book. Was it perfect? No, it was not perfect. But guess what? It was a debut novel. I don't know anyone whose debut book is going to be perfect. But people expected it to be perfect, and people expected it to be their level of standards for what they wanted, and it was absolutely obliterated online by a lot of people. It had, of course, a huge following and a lot of support within the community as well, and that's fantastic within of itself. And for a debut novel, I think it was fantastic. I had so much fun reading it, and I bought the second book. I still need to read it though. I can't speak for the rest of the series. I think it's a trilogy. I can't speak for the rest of the series because I haven't read the books, but for the first book at the very least, I had a lot of fun reading it. And that's the thing too. I will say I do feel like the male love, the MC, male main character, male love interest, I do feel like the love interest was a little underdeveloped, and I'm hoping that in the other books he gets more development. That was like my only thing, is I feel like he was underdeveloped and stuff. But yeah. I feel like TikTok has done a lot in the book community, and I don't know exactly why, and I don't know exactly what the solution is. It's very interesting to me to see how things have changed with TikTok and with the book community as a whole. And I want to know what makes a Booktok book a Booktok book. What is like the secret ingredient? Genuinely. I'm so curious, and I just want to have this discussion, and like, this is like some of my own ideas. And it's not even a fully fledged planned idea in my head of why. It's just, I feel like as a fanfic reader, a lot of these TikTok books feel fanfic. Like fanficky, if that makes sense. It feels within the same realm to me. And there's nothing wrong with that, but then I guess it gets into the morality of fanfics you don't make money from. Fanfic writers, they're writing out of love for their craft, and they're writing for practice, you know? And maybe one day they'll get into traditional publishing. But with these Booktok books, does this mean that we are being less critical of the books we are publishing, and therefore publishing books that probably are not publishable yet? Or are we publishing books that might not be ready to be published because the standards have gone down because of TikTok? It's just very curious to me to think about. And I really want to hear your thoughts and opinions on this in the comments down below, because it's something I've been thinking about lately. Yeah. Like I said, it's not a fully fledged idea that I have of this yet, but I just wanted to try to have this conversation and open it up and see what people have to say about it and their own opinions on it. So, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, night, evening, whatever time it is for you, morning. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell to get notified of any other videos I make, you know. If you like the vibes here and want to stick around, then please do that. I really appreciate it. I hope to see y'all next time. Bye!